season is now. There is a waiver, there is a grace period, there will be no penalties if you file your returns on or before June 30th.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Anderson chat room, where we'll be talking about all things relating to doing business in Nigeria. On this chat room, we'll be discussing topics such as tax, forensic, accounting, transfer pricing, data protection, basically all things relating to doing business in Nigeria. My name is Amaka Samuel Unyani, and I'm your host on this podcast. So today we'll be talking to Abisola Agbola. She's a senior manager in the transfer pricing unit at Anderson. She has over 12 years experience in doing transfer pricing. So we'll be talking we'll be focused to this podcast, will be focused on transfer pricing filing. So welcome, Bisola, to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Now, before we go into transfer pricing filing in Nigeria, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, what's this transfer pricing thing all about? Can you provide some insight?
I get that question a lot. Transfer pricing is not that complicated, really. When we talk about transfer pricing, we're focusing on transactions between related parties. Basically, we're looking at group entities, multinational enterprises, and we're trying to ensure that transactions between them are done at arm's length. Now, before you say I have complicated matters, what is arm's length, or what is the arm's length principle? What we're basically saying is that the terms and conditions under which we conduct transactions among related parties are comparable to the terms and conditions applicable among independent parties. So, simple example, we have two massive businesses, right? You have Amaka PLC, I have Bisola PLC, and we happen to be within the same group. And let's say Amaka PLC is selling this laptop to me, and it's selling it at 100 Naira. What transfer pricing aims to ensure is that 100 Naira is what you would sell to another party that is not related to you, or what two independent parties in the market will sell to themselves. So really, that's transfer pricing in a nutshell.
But why would Amaka PLC be interested in selling at market price to you? Because we're related, right? Yes. So why wouldn't I want to sell to you at a lower or even higher price than the market price? Why would I be interested in that?
Now, that's exactly what transfer pricing is trying to avoid. So for preferential treatment, because you're related to someone. The idea is market price actually indicates what is applicable among everybody in the open markets, right? Forces of demand and supply. So it is expected that if you're charging market price, you would have the right revenues, the right costs, depending on the type of transaction, and you would be able to pay the right taxes, right? One is the most important thing, right? So the idea is that the tax authorities want to ensure you're charging the right prices to ensure that your tax base is protected and you're paying the right taxes to the government.
So is there any law or regulation that is guiding? Because I can decide to price, I should be able to decide to price my products anyway, but is there any law or regulation that is guiding, this?
Oh, yes, there is. So transfer pricing has been in Nigeria since 2012, but the current transfer pricing regulation was introduced in 2018. So yes, we do have transfer pricing regulations that clearly spell out that transactions between related parties should always be conducted at arm's length. Actually, the transfer pricing regulations actually include other compliance obligations that I will talk about. You have to ensure that you prepare a report, a documentation to prove that those transactions you've conducted were actually at arm's length. In addition, you have to file returns every year. You have to file statutory returns with the tax authorities with details about the transactions that you have conducted during the period.
Okay, so basically you've said that I need to prepare a documentation and I need to file returns.
Yes.
When is Amaka PLC required to file returns?
Now, it differs from company to company. The rule is that you file 6 months after your year end. Now, the interesting thing is most Nigerian companies have a December year end. So we're in the middle of transfer pricing filing season. It's a very, very hectic season right now. That's because 6 months after December is June 30th. So for most companies that have a December year end, you have to file on or before 30th of June 2024.
Okay, so then how do I file? Do I just fill a sheet of paper and submit to the tax authority? How do I file?
How do you file? Don't worry, we're in the technological age. We're not filing on paper any longer. We have a electronic platform. The FIRS has a platform called the Tax Pro Max that taxpayers can use to file their returns. Interestingly, this is the first time that we are going to be using Tax Pro Max to file TP returns. It's used to solely be for tax filings, normal companies, income tax filings and the likes. But now it's going to be used for transfer pricing. So in fact, it's extremely important that taxpayers ensure that they're proactive and prepare their returns and file on time to avoid any glitches that could occur.
Okay, so you're saying that we're using this platform for the first time.
Yes, for TP.
For transfer pricing. Yes. And you're saying that most companies in Nigeria have to file by June 30th.
Yes.
So 1 million plus, I'm assuming that there are 1 million plus companies there, but 1 million plus, let's just say 1 million plus companies are going to log into one platform.
Yes.
And they are going to file, and they're supposed to file before the 30th of June.
Yes.
Okay, now we know that there will be problems. There will be glitches. So what kind of issues can you possibly foresee, that companies need to be aware of now going into this filing season?
Okay. When everyone is trying to call one number.
Exactly.
The way things can break down.
That's why I said there will be glitches.
Yeah, so because it's the first time we're using the platform, right? It's expected that people might not even be conversant with the way the platform is, right? So you need to be proactive and start your processes on time. But the platform in itself, if there's a lot of traffic, a lot of people logged on at the same time, we can imagine how hectic that will be, right? The tax authorities we know are working towards ensuring that everything goes smoothly. But it's better safe than sorry, right? You would agree with me?
Yes.
Yeah. So to avoid any downtimes, any disruptions, it's just best that companies start as quickly as possible.
Okay, let's be proactive in our thinking. Let's assume there's some downtime. What happens if there's downtime and a company is unable to file? Question one. Second question, what happens if a company is not even aware of this whole filing requirements, or they are aware and they're thinking, not Nigeria, we'll file when we have the time? Well, what are the implications of this?
Question one, if there's downtime, it's not your fault now. You are not the one in charge of the platform, right? But on a serious note, in the past, when we used the older platform, TP Plats, when there were some downtime, the tax authorities would give an extension of the filing deadline. So the tax authorities are reasonable, and when those kind of issues occur, there will be an extension of the filing deadline, right? Now, for scenario 2, where a company is choosing not to file or is not aware that they're supposed to file, there are penalties. There's a regulation, remember? Yes, that regulation that was introduced in 2018 introduced transfer pricing penalties, and they are huge. 10 million naira in minimum. Sorry, let me say it the right way. In minimum of 10 million naira as a penalty. I'm sure there's no tax manager that wants to go back to management telling them, "Oh, I did not file this thing online, and here you are, pay 10 million naira." So yes, there are penalties geared to ensure that companies are actually compliant with the TP regulations.
Okay, so let's paint another scenario. You talked about the fact that transfer pricing has existed since 2012, and now you're saying that if you didn't file, there's a 10 million naira minimum penalty. So companies that for some reason they just didn't file for some reason, so what would they do now? Are they to rush and file now? What can they do if there's any company out there, and since the introduction of transfer pricing in Nigeria, they've not been able to file their TP returns? What should they do?
Now, that's the good thing about this, let's say, transition to Tax Pro Max. Remember I mentioned that earlier. Part of what the tax authorities did was to give a grace period. So companies have between now and 30th of June to regularize all their TP filings. So if you've not filed for 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, whatever number of years, file now on Tax Pro Max, and the tax authorities will waive penalties. So those huge penalties we're talking about, you can avoid them just by filing on or before 30th June 2024.
So in a nutshell, companies that are multinational, that's their present group entities, okay, that have related parties that they've been transacting with, are required to file transfer pricing returns 6 months after their year end. And if for some reason you've not filed all this, you have this opportunity, this waiver to file.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bisola, for your time. Any last thoughts?
Yes. Best, transfer pricing is not that complex. Everyone should calm down. It's not that complex. TP returns filing season is now. There is a waiver. There is a grace period. There will be no penalties if you file your returns on or before June 30th. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Anderson Chat Room. See you on the next one.